Hello again. This week, as always, there's more footage of the 48 Chevy build. The Suburban is running and outside the shop. We've got this donor vehicle we're going to be pulling the drivetrain out of in hopes to use the transmission on another project a little bit later. There's also going to be some footage of a two-day auction I'm going to be attending this weekend, and hopefully next week I will be able to share with you some of the things that I purchased that I couldn't live without. Hope you enjoy it. There was a lot of grinding that went into this project, whether it was grinding for the quarters that were welded together, or some of the patch panels that were put into place, or just grinding some of the holes where we weren't going to be putting the clips for the stainless again.
I'm taking the interior of the door off.
Getting the window cranks off without the correct tool can be a bit of a chore, but they were able to do it successfully so we could get the panels pulled apart. Here James is grinding out a strip of metal that's going to be put inside the door so we can weld the clip holes shut. A thin coat of body filler finishes off the grinds from the welds where we seamed the fender to the rear quarter. All the inner trim and the staples have been removed. The quarter panels were welded together and ground down. They're coming along nicely. Be ready for primer soon. Driver's door is pulled apart, got all the trim and the glass pulled out. We're going to get this all sanded down and primed. Then we'll get them fit to the car before we paint them. Here the students are sandblasting the bottoms of the doors to make some repairs. Anything in the shop is fair game when you're trying to form a patch panel. Here the bottom of this table works perfect. Here the door handles are being removed. As well as the door handle bezel. Here the welds are ground down that filled in the trim holes. And here they're dressing the bottoms of the doors from the repair. I really enjoyed this shot, everybody working and doing something different. I picked up a pair of fenders for the build up in Harrisonburg recently. The original fenders for the car have a lot of body filler in them and need too much work to get straight, and time is a factor here. So we picked these up. The only damage to these fenders is a little bit of rust at the bottom of each near the rear. The nice thing about it is, unlike our original fenders, is the rust on this has not gotten all the way to the inner fender, as you can see. So all we have to do is get the outer part of the skin cleaned up. We can make the repair, and then this will be ready to go onto the car. Here they're finishing off the repairs that were made to cover the holes for the trim. I enjoyed these shots as well. Here the students are actually teaching each other. Bit of a shame that the vehicle sat all summer without being completed, but I didn't need it. So just a couple of little things, and then putting the hood back on, and we'll be ready to fire it off. I didn't get a chance to do the first startup for you, but I do want you to see that it does start. We do have a couple other things we need to wrap up on it. We're going to take care of that next week. Not a lot of work was done this week on the Fox body, but we did remove a couple of pieces to paint them, and also did some cleaning to prepare the engine compartment more for the powertrain to go back in. The loyal followers have seen us do this several times, different students. We're taking the drivetrain out of this Saturn and removing the axle shaft assembly so we can drop the cradle from the car. Knowing we're not going to be using some of the hardware to put this back together, it affords us the luxury of working a little bit faster.
There it is.
When this drivetrain goes into the other vehicle, we'll take much better care in disassembling and assembling it. With the half shafts and suspension components removed, we take apart the steering to allow us to drop the cradle. With the car back down on the ground, we remove the remaining engine mounts from the top, and then we can raise the car body off of the drivetrain. Normally the hub assemblies wouldn't be hanging by the brake hoses, but again, since we're not reusing this car, it wasn't a concern. This is where I'm going to be spending my weekend. This is the lifelong collection of a gentleman out of Purcellville named R.T. Lagarde. A lot of antique farm equipment dating some 100 years or older. And I will be there hopefully purchasing a few of these items and bringing them back home. Here's some of the larger equipment and older tractors. I have an interest in a couple of these just for my own collection, but also there's a couple of tractors that I already own that I could use these for parts. This is a 1902 Oldsmobile curve dash, single cylinder chain drive engine. That's how it would have been. This is original. It does run. My understanding is they were driving it around recently, and it's going to be auctioned off as well. Next time on Bulldog Builds, work will continue on the 48 Chevy SEMA build. We'll get the transaxle separated from the engine on our donor vehicle. I'll report back to see if I drug any of these tractors home for my collection. And the engine team is going to be doing exhibition runs at the Fairfax Car Show on Labor Day. If you're in the area, come out, support these young people, and enjoy the show. See you next week.